Hello everyone. 2.46 Control of body temperature. Firstly, the objectives for this lesson, or what are the most important things that you should note or you should be able to explain it, to note about this topic are: firstly, you should be able to understand why body temperature must be controlled. As we know, our body temperature is 37 Celsius. Okay, why this body temperature? It should be always in the normal range. Why it should be always 37? Then, number two, to know the difference between heat and temperature. Number three, to understand the part played by the skin in control of temperature. As we mentioned or as we explained in the previous lesson, we took an example of homeostasis. It was about how brain and skin cells work together to maintain a homeostasis. And number four, to appreciate that control of body temperature is an example of negative feedback. In the previous lesson also we talked about negative feedback. Also here we will re-explaining the negative feedback again. Now, the importance of a constant temperature. Why our body temperature it should be constant? Many biological and physical processes are affected by temperature. For example, number one, enzymes. In term 1, we talked about enzymes and what are some factors that affect the function of enzymes. So, here we will see the enzymes work best at their optimum temperature and are denatured by wide deviations from this. What does that mean? The enzymes, it works in range 37 to 38. Okay. So it should the body temperature it should be in this range, in the normal range from 36 to 38. Okay, if the body temperature will increase, let's say it will reach 40 or more than 40, this what will happen? All the enzymes will denature. What do you mean by denature? Here it will break down, so it won't work anymore. Then, number two, cell membranes become more fragile as temperature rises. As we know, the cell membranes, the function of it's two. Firstly, it protects the internal cell organelles or cell parts, and number two, it controls what goes in and out of the cell. So when the body temperature increases more than or above the normal range, this it will affect the permeability of the cell membrane. So the substances it will be able to pass easily through the cell membrane. Number three, diffusion. Diffusion, also we said about diffusion, we say diffusion is the movement of particles from area of high concentration to the low concentrations, and some factors that affected the diffusion, one of them was the temperature. So when the body temperature it will increase, so diffusion rates are increased by higher temperature. When the body temperature increase, the rate of diffusion it will increase. Then liquids such as blood become more viscous or thicker as temperature falls. Example, our blood. As we know, the blood is always moving through the veins, arteries in our body. So if the body temperature will change, it will affect on the viscosity of the blood. What's that mean? If the body temperature it will decrease, so the blood will be thick. So it will not be able to move easily through the blood vessels, and this it will affect on the cells. Heat and temperature. The difference between the heat and temperature, we should differentiate between these two words. Firstly, heat, it's a type of energy. It's like when you are saying, for example, light energy, chemical energy, electrical energy. Also, we have heat energy. So heat, it's a type of energy, okay? Because it's a type of energy, so it can be held or carried by an object or passed from one object to another. Again, heat, it's a type of energy. It can be held or it can be carried and transferred and passed from one object to another. The term temperature or the word temperature, it means it measure temperature. It measure how concentrated the heat is in an object. Okay. Then birds and example of endothermic and endothermic and exothermic organisms. Birds and mammals. These are the only two groups of animals, okay, that are endotherms. What do you mean by endotherms? It means they can keep their body temperature constant, or they can regulate their body temperature. An example, our body temperature is 37. Why it's always 37? Because we have a specific mechanism in our body that it helps us to control or to keep this body temperature always constant. So only birds and mammals can contain their body temperature. So birds and mammals are endotherms inside heat. What do you mean by endotherms inside heat? We mean by it their body temperature is always constant. So birds and mammals that are the only two groups of animals that are able to maintain their body temperature or to maintain a constant body temperature. How this it happen? This balance is achieved by temperature control center in hypothalamus. So as a human that belong to the mammals, or we are a type of mammals, we can regulate our body temperature by what? By temperature control center, which it locates by in the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, what do you mean by hypothalamus? It's a region of the brain. Here we will here in this diagram it shows how this how maintaining body temperature it happened. So here, if you look at this, you will see to make it balance, what does that mean? Heat gains, it should be equal to heat losses. But how we will gain heat and how we will lose heat? We can gain heat through respiration, conduction, convection, and radiation. How? Firstly, when we eat food, okay, when we will break down the food, so through metabolism, respiration, it will generate heat. Then this heat, okay, another source of heat, which is from muscles. Muscles, when you work, for example, when you work out or when you do any kind of exercise, you will feel your body temperature it increase. Why? What happened? This it's because of the muscles. The muscles, okay, movement generates heat by respiration and friction within the muscles. Okay, so here in these two ways, now we will gain heat. Some ways to lose heat: it's evaporation, excretion, conduction, convection, and radiation. How? For example, excretion. When you will urine, okay, urine and feces are at body temperature. Heat is lost when they are expelled from the body. So if you will urine, or if you will urine, so what will happen? Your body temperature will decrease. Why? What happened? Because this object or this urine it has temperature same as your body. So when you will be released outside the body, that's mean now your body is losing some of the heat. Okay, another example which is evaporating. If your body temperature will increase, what will happen? Your body will start sweating. So by sweating, heat is lost when water evapor. Okay, what do you mean by water evapor here? We mean by it the sweating. So when you will sweat, you will lose heat. Okay, and also here by convection, radiation, conduction. Okay, here for example, if you will, for example, this rock, if the temperature of this rock it's more than your body temperature, so your body will gain heat from it. But if it's opposite, if the temperature of it it's less than your body, so this process it will be opposite. Your body will give heat to the rock, because always the heat energy it transfer from hot objects to cold object. Two more terms here: hyperthermia and hypothermia. If heat gain exceed heat losses, the body temperature will rise, may cause hyperthermia. Here it means, what do you mean by hyperthermia? Here what do you mean by it? For example, if your body is gaining heat more than what it's losing, so your body temperature will increase, and this case we call it hyperthermia. Here it's opposite. If heat losses exceeds heat gains, the body temperature will fall, may cause hypothermia. So this diagram, yeah, it looks like a little bit complicated, but it's not that much complicated. So this diagram, it's about what? It's the structure of the skin is adapted for that temperature control. What do you mean by it? We just explained and we said skin it's adapted, or skin it has a role in controlling body temperature. But how? Firstly, the diagram starts from here. Norm or normal body temperature. Normal body temperature, here we mean by it's 37. Okay, the optimum temperature for the body activities is about 37 Celsius. If the upper part, it's when the body temperature increase, the lower part, it's the part or when the body temperature will decrease. Now, let's talk about the upper one. Here it's normal body temperature, but here it will start to increase. Okay, maybe you are sick or by any reason. Okay, when it will increase, your skin it has some detectors or receptors that it will know there is a change in the temperature, there is increasing in the body temperature. It sends message to the brain. Then the brain, it will, by a mechanism, we call it corrective mechanism, attempt to increase heat loss. How? This is your skin. In your skin, what do you have? You have the hair, okay, and you have sweat glands, okay, or a gland that it will help you to sweat, okay, and you have some blood capillaries. We will see what are the changes that will happen. Firstly, if your body temperature increase, the first thing that will happen is convection. Okay, convection. What will happen? Look at the hair. It will, okay, convection, relaxation of hair erector muscles. So hair lies flat. This is a muscle, this part, with high temperature. This muscle, it will erect. Okay, so when it will erect, what's that mean? It will contract. When it will contract, see, the hair, it will lay. This is first change. The second change, it's what? Your body or the glands, the sweating glands will start releasing water vapor. Okay, so this is the second change. The third change, radiation. Okay, radiation, vasodilation of arterioles leading to surface capillaries. What's that mean? Vasodilation, it means it will be bigger. Okay, artery, the artery is here, the arterioles, okay, which is smaller than artery. Okay, here it will start being bigger. When it will be bigger, what will happen? It will release some of the temperature, some of the heat. Okay, here, because there is a blood in it, and this blood, it's hot, so it will start helping releasing the heat. So convection, radiation, evaporation. So all of these are the changes that it will happen when your body temperature, it will increase, until what will happen? Your body temperature will turn to be normal, will turn to be 37 Celsius again. Now, the opposite. If your body temperature will decrease, what will happen? Okay, if your body temperature will decrease, also there is a detector that it detects there is a change in the body temperature. A message will be sent to the brain, and your body will try to decrease the body temperature. How? Or your skin. Firstly, evaporation. Okay, sweat glands do not secrete sweat. See here, there is no sweating when it's cold. So here it will keep your body temperature. It will try to keep your body temperature. Then radiation, vasoconstriction of arterioles leading to surface capillary shunts blood away from the skin. Look at this. Look how it is, and look at this one. Here it's being more, so it can diffuse more heat, or scatter more heat. Then convection. In convection, look at what happened to the hair. Of course, all of you notice this one when it's cold. Sometimes you will start shivering. Okay, and if you look at your skin, you will see your hair, all of it, it's tanned. Okay, so now the changes: the convection, radiation, evaporation. Okay, it will stop sweating. It will contraction of hair erector muscle. It will contract the muscle here, and that's it. So one more thing, it's like shivering. Muscular activity generates heat. Okay, it's like how you can help your body to control the body temperature when it decreases. Shivering, this it happened normally, naturally in your body. You can add extra clothes. Okay, eating more, because when you will eat food, this food by the process of respiration will be broken down and releasing energy or heat energy from it. That's why for example, if you eat something sweety like chocolate, you will feel it's hot. Why? What happened? The food here, it gives more heat energy to your body. The second part of homeostasis here, it's control of blood glucose level. As we know, we have glucose, sugar in our blood. So one of the functions of adrenaline is to increase the concentration of glucose in the blood for respiration. We have hormone, we call it adrenaline. Adrenaline, the function of it is to increase the concentration of glucose, sugar in our blood for respiration. When you need more energy, adrenaline will be released, and this it will concentrate, it will make the concentration of blood sugar higher in your blood. But a higher concentration of glucose sugar for a long time in our blood, it's harmful, it's not good. So sometimes it should be high, sometimes it should be low. Okay, so there should be a mechanism that it controls this increasing and decreasing of glucose sugar in our blood. The ideal concentration of glucose in the blood is normally maintained by two hormones. These hormones are insulin and glucagon. These two hormones are released or secreted by cells in the pancreas in response to a change in blood glucose concentration. So if there is any blood, if there is any change in blood concentration or glucose concentration in the blood, so these two hormones will be released, either insulin or glucagon. But when insulin will be released and when the glucagon will be released, we will see. Insulin is released when blood sugar is too high. So when the glucose sugar in your blood increase, so the insulin will be released. This insulin, it stimulates removal of glucose from the blood. Now, blood sugar in your blood it's high, then insulin will be released. If glucose sugar concentration in your blood it's low, okay, the glucagon will be released. When there is low concentration of glucose in your blood, glucagon will be released. Glucagon is released when blood sugar is too low. It stimulates the release of glucose into the blood. Here, this is the diagram that it shows the glucose level in our blood, and when it increases, what will happen, and also when it will decrease, what will happen. Here, it starts from here. Normal blood glucose level. Blood glucose level measured as blood passes through the pancreas. Now, if it's high, too high, okay, we call it hyperglycemia. So, too high, it's a common name or common word, okay. Hyperglycemia is the scientific word, it's the scientific name for too high concentration of blood sugar. So, when it's too high, what will happen? Pancreas produce insulin, okay. Liver converts glucose into glycogen. Now, the first cycle, normal blood sugar, a change in it, we call it hyperglycemia. When there is hyperglycemia, what will happen? Directly your pancreas will produce insulin. Now, this insulin, it will do what? The liver converts glucose, the extra glucose, into glycogen. Then also this glycogen then will be stored in your body as fat. That's why when you eat, that's why they say don't eat too much sweets, because it contains a lot of sugar, and this extra sugar then will be converted into glycogen and then will be stored in your body as fat. Now, the opposite. The second case is when the blood sugar is low. When the blood sugar is too low. In this case, we call it hypoglycemia. It's not hyperglycemia. It's wrong here. Okay, the hyperglycemia when it's too high. When it's too low, we call it hypoglycemia. So, hypoglycemia, it means the concentration of glucose sugar, it's too low. Now, what will happen? When it's too low, your pancreas will release glucagon. Glucagon, it will do what? It will do opposite to this one. It will convert the glycogen into glucose. Okay? And then the normal blood glucose level will be. Blood glucose level. As we know, glucose is the main source of energy for our cells. So our cells to function, to do its function, it needs source of energy. This source of energy, it's what? It's the glucose. So our body, it always keeps a constant amount of glucose in the blood. Okay? The amount of glucose, it should be always constant in our blood, so it can provide cells with the energy. Any change to this concentration or any change to this amount of glucose in the blood, it might cause some consequences. So the blood glucose level is usually maintained at about 1 milligram of glucose per cubic centimeter of blood. It means each 1 cubic centimeter of blood, there should be 1 milligram of glucose in it. What is diabetes? Of course, most of you or all of you heard about this disease, diabetes, okay, or they call it blood sugar. What do you mean by diabetes? Diabetes, it's a condition in which blood glucose concentration is higher than normal. Well, here what will happen? The body of a person, the glucose sugar, the glucose concentration, the glucose level in the blood will be higher than normal. So if anyone has glucose sugar higher than normal range in its body, that means this person he had diabetes. Now, for diabetes, we have two types of diabetes: type 1 or type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. Two types of diabetes. Now, let's see what's the first one. The first one is usually a result of pancreas failing to secrete enough insulin. Here, what will happen? The insulin, the pancreas will not be able to release or secrete enough amount of insulin to reduce the blood sugar. Here, what will happen? Now, the sugar in your blood, it's high. It's higher than normal range. Now your pancreas should release insulin to decrease it. But in here, what will happen? The pancreas, it's not able to give enough insulin. Symptoms. Oh, it's like someone, if anyone who have diabetes, what will happen to his body, or how we know this one has the diabetes type 1. Firstly, excessive thirst, hunger, or urine production. You will see always he's thirsty. So when someone is always thirsty, that means this is one of the symptoms that he has diabetes type 1. Okay, sweat, smelling, breath. He's always sweating. Okay, high overflow of glucose into urine. This is when, if they will take a sample of urine, they will test it, they will see there is a high concentration of sugar or glucose sugar. Long-term effect, if untreated, include: if someone will have diabetes type 1, he should treat it. But if he will not, so in a long term, so what will happen? Firstly, premature aging. What do you mean by premature aging here? It's he will look older. For example, when you look at him, maybe his age it's 50, but he looks like he's 60 or 65 or 70. Okay. Then cataract formation. What do you mean by cataract formation here? It's people with diabetes type 1, they can't see clearly. They always say we have a problem with our eyes. We cannot see easily. Okay, we cannot see clearly. Sorry. So why this it happened? This is because of the diabetes type 1. Then hardening of arteries. Their arteries will not be able to relax and contract easily, so it will be hard. Okay. Then next one, heart diseases. The diabetes type 1, it might develop into some diseases that it will cause diseases to heart. Treatment. How we can treat this disease? Treatment, it's by regular injections of pure insulin. Okay. The patient here, he should take insulin. This insulin, maybe it's as pills. Some of people, they take it as pills. Others, they take it as injections. It depends on the case. It depends on the level of it. Okay. A diet that contains too much fat and too much sugar can also cause to form of diabetes. Okay. Now, diabetes type 2. can be this: when someone he is eating always too much fat and too much sugar, maybe he will have the diabetes type 2. Type 2 can be controlled by adjusting the diet limit fat and sugar and does not need injections of insulin. Okay, type 1, type 2. Type 1 is the most dangerous one because you need to take the pills or injections, but here in type 2 you can just adjust your habits, just adjust your fat, your uh, diet. Okay, so you will reduce fat and sugar intake, and that's it. By this way you can solve this problem. So here it was the end of this lesson. The questions, it will be your homework, and in addition to this homework you will have the workbook homework. I hope you got benefit from it, and have a good day.